And before anyone says I probably got the name wrong or remembered it incorrectly, I still have proof I was there. Or at least, I think I do. This happened last December when I was driving back home after visiting an old friend who lived a few hours away from me. I left later than I should have, and the weather got bad really fast. At first it was just rain, but once I got closer to the mountains, it turned into one of those storms where you can barely even see the road in front of you. The kind where your headlights almost make visibility worse. I remember checking my GPS because I wanted to stop somewhere for coffee or maybe stay overnight somewhere nearby. But my signal kept cutting in and out. Eventually the GPS completely froze. My phone battery was already low too, around maybe 8%. At that point I was honestly stressed out. There were no other cars around. No gas stations, no stores, nothing. Just trees and rain. Then I saw the hotel, or at least I thought it was a hotel. The sign outside was barely lit up, and I almost missed it because half the letters weren't working. It looked old, really old, like something from the early 90s that had just been forgotten. I actually drove past it at first, but after another 10 minutes of driving through absolutely nowhere, I turned around and went back. I remember feeling relieved when I walked in because the lobby lights were on, which meant somebody had to be there. But the second I stepped inside, that feeling disappeared immediately. The place was dead quiet, not peaceful quiet either. The uncomfortable kind of silence where even small noises stand out too much. I could hear water dripping somewhere in the distance. There was also this weird smell in the lobby, like damp carpet mixed with old cigarette smoke. Behind the front desk was an older woman wearing this dark green uniform. She didn't greet me when I walked in. She just stared at me, not angry, not friendly, just staring. I tried making conversation and asked if they still had rooms available. She paused for a few seconds before answering. Then she said, "One room." Something about the way she said it made me uncomfortable immediately, like she was warning me instead of helping me. She reached under the desk and handed me an actual metal key. Not a key card, a key. The tag attached to it said 307. While I was signing the check-in paper, I noticed a clock hanging behind her. The clock had stopped at exactly 3:14. I pointed at it jokingly and said, "Rough night?" She didn't even look at the clock. She just slid the paper toward me and quietly said, "If someone knocks tonight, don't open the door." I actually laughed a little because I thought she was trying to mess with me. Like maybe the hotel had some cheesy haunted reputation they used to entertain tourists. But she didn't smile, not even a little. She just kept staring at me. I grabbed the key and headed upstairs. The elevator didn't work, so I had to use the stairs. And honestly, that stairwell was probably the first moment I seriously considered leaving. Every light flickered. The walls had stains running down them from water damage, and the deeper I went into the hallway on the third floor, the colder it got. Not normal cold either, the kind where the air suddenly feels heavy. Room 307 was near the very end of the hallway. The carpet around it looked darker than the rest, almost wet. I remember standing there for a second debating whether I should just sleep in my car instead, but I was exhausted. So I unlocked the door and went inside. The room itself looked normal at first glance. Old furniture, old TV, cheap yellow lighting. But there was something wrong with the atmosphere in there. It's hard to explain. It felt like walking into a room right after somebody else had left, like the space still felt occupied somehow. I checked the bathroom first for some reason. I think I was just trying to reassure myself everything was fine. The sink was wet, Not dripping wet, just damp enough to look recently used. I even remember thinking maybe housekeeping had cleaned the room not long ago. I locked the door, plugged my phone into charge, and sat on the bed watching random videos for a while. For maybe the first hour, nothing happened. Then around 1 a.m. I started hearing footsteps above me, slow pacing, back and forth. At first I ignored it. Hotels are noisy sometimes. But after a few minutes I remembered something weird. There wasn't a fourth floor. I had seen the building from outside. The third floor was the top floor. I tried convincing myself it was probably pipes or old plumbing making noises, but the footsteps kept going, back and forth, back and forth. Eventually they stopped directly above my bed. That's when I heard the first knock, not at my door, inside the wall. 3 slow knocks. I sat there listening for almost a full minute afterward. Nothing. Then my TV suddenly turned on by itself. Static. Just loud white noise filling the room. I grabbed the remote and shut it off immediately. At that point I was definitely unsettled, but I still wasn't fully scared yet. I was mostly trying to rationalize everything. Old hotel, bad wiring, strange pipes, whatever. I remember going into the bathroom to splash water on my face because I felt tense. That's when I noticed the footprints. Wet footprints. Bare footprints. Leading away from the bathtub. At first I genuinely thought somebody had somehow been inside the room before me. But the footprints stopped halfway across the bathroom floor. They didn't lead to the door, they just ended, like whoever made them disappeared. And then I noticed the mirror. There were words written across the condensation. 3 words. Don't look away. I immediately backed out of the bathroom. The second I did, 3 knocks hit the hotel room door. Slow, heavy, deliberate. My entire body froze. I checked my phone without even thinking. 3:14 a.m. I don't know why that scared me as much as it did. Maybe because of the clock downstairs, maybe because of what the receptionist said. But suddenly the entire situation felt wrong, like genuinely dangerous. The knocking happened again, 3 more times. I walked toward the door slowly and looked through the peephole. At first I thought nobody was there. The hallway was empty. Then I noticed the carpet outside my room looked soaked, like water had been dragged down the hallway. And standing near the elevator was a woman. She was completely still. Long dark hair covering most of her face. Her clothes looked drenched. I remember feeling this horrible sinking sensation in my stomach because something about her didn't look human. Not physically, just wrong, like she was standing unnaturally still. I stepped away from the door immediately, and then I heard breathing behind me, right next to my ear. I turned around so fast I nearly slipped. Nobody was there, but the bathroom door was open again, way wider than before. I swear I had left it almost closed. The room suddenly felt freezing cold. Then I heard something move inside the bathroom. Not footsteps, more like wet fabric dragging across the floor. At that point, I completely panicked. I grabbed my bag and ran for the door. The hallway outside looked darker somehow. The lights kept flickering, and I could hear this low humming sound coming from the elevator. I started walking fast toward the stairs, then stopped. The woman was standing at the other end of the hallway now, closer than before, still motionless. I remember not even breathing. Then the elevator beside me dinged. The doors slowly opened, and standing inside was a man, tall, completely expressionless, just staring at me. The weirdest thing was his clothes looked old-fashioned, almost like an employee uniform. Then he smiled. Not normal smiling, too wide, like his face physically shouldn't stretch that far. The hallway lights immediately shut off. Everything went dark for maybe 2 seconds, and during those 2 seconds, I could hear footsteps running toward me. Fast, really fast. When the lights came back on, the hallway was empty. Both the man and woman were gone. I ran downstairs without even grabbing half my stuff. The receptionist was still standing behind the desk. I remember yelling at her, asking what the hell was wrong with that room, and the expression on her face changed instantly when I mentioned the woman. She quietly asked, "Did you open the door?" I told her no, and she looked genuinely relieved. Then she explained that years earlier, a woman had died in room 307 after repeatedly calling the front desk claiming someone was trying to get into her room. Officially, it was ruled a suicide, but employees believed the hotel manager had killed her. After that, guests staying in 307 kept reporting strange things. Whispering, knocking, wet footprints. And apparently, if somebody opened the door at 3:14 a.m., they disappeared. I left immediately after that. I didn't even wait for sunrise. The part that still bothers me happened about 2 weeks later. I was telling the story to a friend and decided to look the hotel up online. I couldn't find anything. No website, no address, nothing. Eventually, I found an old forum post mentioning it. According to the post, the hotel shut down nearly 8 years ago after part of the building collapsed. But that's impossible. Because I was there, I know I was, but somehow it was back in my possession. The worst part? The key was damp, like somebody had just pulled it out of water.